Next up, we have Mike Follet, who's the Managing Director of Lumen, and he will be talking about buying eyeballs and using attention data to optimize media buying. Mike, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Mike. I'm the Managing Director at Lumen. We're a eye tracking company. We've developed a technology that turns this webcam here or this webcam here into a highly accurate eye tracking camera. And that allows us to understand the reality of attention to advertising, what people look at and what people miss. And people are very good at missing advertising. Now, up to recently, when it comes to advertising, people have been really obsessed by audience targeting, making sure that the right ad appears in front of the right people every time. And of course, that is a very powerful technology, a very powerful tool. It's also, largely speaking, going away because of GDPR. And so as a result, people have been looking at other ways of targeting advertising. And contextual targeting is something that's growing in importance and appeal at the moment. But even with the contextual targeting, making sure your ads appear next to your car ads, next to car content, and things like that. That has some downsides as well because of you might inadvertently be racist or sexist by the assumptions that you put into these things. So things like the Back Don't Block campaign over in Britain, trying to get people to be a bit more careful about how they think about the context. But at Lumen, we think there might be a third way of doing it to sort of supplement that contextual targeting. We call it attention targeting, making sure that your ads appear in places where they're actually going to get looked at. Because as I said, people are very good at ignoring advertising. When we do our studies, we realize that there's a really big difference between ads being viewable and ads being viewed. People scroll very, very quickly. They look away from the screen. They don't always engage with your ads. But some sites are much better at generating attention than others. And what we do is we measure what was viewable and then also what was viewed and then how long it was viewed for. And what we find is that there are massive differences, enormous differences between format. The size and the nature of your ads has a huge effect on whether or not people are going to look at them. The second thing that's really important is viewable time. No one takes time seriously enough. You assume that if your ads are viewable at all, that's good enough. It's not. Your ads have to be viewable for long enough to be engaged with. And the last thing that seems to make a big difference is where the ads appear. The same ad can be viewable for the same amount of time on The Guardian and on eBay, and it's going to get a lot more attention on one of those sites than another. Similarly, there are big differences between Facebook and Instagram and within Facebook, and in different formats and different inventory within the sites. So what we do is we collect lots and lots of data about the attention panels that we've got, working out how people actually engage with that stuff. We turn it into predictive models, and then we feed those predictive models into Google 360 as a custom algorithm, or into Avocet, a really innovative DSP, so that you guys can buy attention. That bit is the ad, and on that note, I'll finish.
Hello, Mike. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So the bit that I thought was interesting was I didn't realise that you plugged some of your research into buying platforms. So could you tell us a little bit more about how the attention metric is plugged in? Because we had a conversation earlier around the fact that there isn't a great metric or KPI for attention as a consistent in the industry. So I'm just wondering how you plug that into the way campaigns are bought.
So the way it works is that we have predictive models of attention that say ads that are of this sort of format, that's viewable for this sort of time on these sorts of sites will do better than that. So it's a probabilistic model. Okay. And then that can be used as a custom algorithm within Google 360, or just as a predictor to aid the buy within other DSPs. So it's a probabilistic, predictive way of targeting your ads towards the good stuff and away from the bad stuff. And there is a lot of bad stuff out there. Yeah,
as you showed yesterday. And are there differences in attention required for different sectors for more complex messages, or can the algorithm be applied to almost all sectors?
Oh, I think that's a very sophisticated point there, Paul. That's different brand advertisers have different objectives. If you want to tell a story, you'll need lots of time and attention, and that will mean that you will have to target some site that can generate that sort of thing. If you simply want to remind people that Colgate is a toothpaste and it exists, you probably don't need as much time, and you don't need as much. So you have a different buying strategy.
Yeah.
And so depending on what your objectives are, you might want to buy in a different way or target different sites. And so it can be pretty subtle, and the savings you can make are very different depending on your objectives.
Got it. And final question for you from the audience. How do you collate this data? Does eye tracking technology require user consent for you to be able to use that and plug it into buying? Does it require GDPR consent?
Absolutely. We pay people to download our software onto their phones or onto their computers. So it's all done with people. It couldn't be done without their consent. Sure. We have to calibrate their eyes so everyone knows. But it wouldn't be done. We've taken some lessons from the various nightmares around GDPR. That everything we do is fully consented with the participation and involvement of the respondents to make sure that they get a fair deal for their attention.
Excellent.
It's really, really important when you're doing something as weird as eye tracking that everyone is fully on board with it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm intrigued about what's written on your whiteboard, but I can't quite read it, so I'll remain curious.
Well, I should do some eye tracking on it. That's what you need.
Good to see you again. Thank you, Mike.